I'm Jeremy Cannon.
I'm Heidi Cannon. We live in St. Joseph, Missouri. Our life before we figured out our child had a tic disorder was actually fairly good. We had not really had much issues up until probably 4 months actually before we actually found Dr. Piper. We didn't wait a super long time. I know there are lots of families whose kids have had things for years. With me being a social worker, I just felt the need to kind of dig in and find something that was going to work for us, because it was very scary when he started having constant tics. We didn't know what was going on, and just having a neurologist tell us, if it gets worse, or if it gets bad enough, we'll just medicate him. And so being a social worker, I was like, I need to be a part of a support group. I'm going to need something. And it was through that we were able to find Dr. Piper and truly, I think, change our son's life from, honestly, so that he wasn't struggling with this for a very long time.
I would say that before we started the program, life was fairly normal.
Yeah.
We ate what we wanted and thought nothing of it. Like Heidi said, a few months before we got into the program is when we discovered that Bo had a tic disorder. And from the get-go, we just kind of put the brakes on everything and started researching whatever we could. And that's where Heidi ran into Dr. Piper on Facebook, right?
Yeah, it was just scary when you first found out, just because he just randomly started ticking one day, and then it was just slowly increasing, and you're just scared. You don't know what's going on. He had already a neurologist, because 3 years prior, he had a reaction to a vaccine and had been diagnosed with chorea, which once the vaccine was out of his system, it went away. So we thought we were fine. But then, of course, 3 years later, he actually started having vocal and physical tics. And then once we got the diagnosis, I started researching and went through the process and found Dr. Piper. Once we got the diagnosis, in some ways it was nice to know what was going on, at least to have a word to what was happening. But I was not doing well. As a parent, it's very hard to see your child ticking. You don't have any kind of control over what's happening. I remember at one point, just laying in a fetal position in the bed because I didn't know what to do. I felt so helpless. And that's when, discovering Dr. Piper, I felt hope. It was the first time I felt any kind of hope. It was really what we needed. And to hear other parents say, our child has come through this, they're not having tics anymore, or the tics are decreased, and we're able to give our child a normal life. And as a social worker, I work and I see a lot of mental health issues. And so it was easy to just wonder, is this going to happen if he can't get better? Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And to finally see that there is a natural way to do this, and that there is some hope down the road. And so, and it's awesome. I mean, we've just loved her program, and he's tick free. And so it's been an absolute miracle for us.
As we've looked at how other people were doing things, and just doing research and figuring out how to make things taste good that is going to be helpful, we were able to go on to the next step. And we already were trying to clean things up, and God really helped us through a lot of this. knowing that he was going to guide us through this all and point us in the right direction.
And I think another part is there's a lot of education that comes within this. We didn't know how inflammation affects the body to this degree, and how food, or not just food, it's in Dr. Piper talks about this all the time. It's not just a one thing that's going to fix things. We had to literally make whole lifestyle changes within our cleaning products, using cast iron and stainless steel versus not getting rid of all of our cookware and supplementing things, and getting different laundry soap, and just the way we clean our house, the way we live our life. And it was a complete life change, and it's very overwhelming at first. But it's just one of those, what I would tell parents is, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? You have to take a bite at a time. It is small changes over a long time, but you can do it. It seems impossible, sometimes too overwhelming, but you can absolutely do it. I think Danielle was a huge help to us. I still remember my first phone call with her doing the intake, and if I had questions, she's always available. I've just loved the team. I feel like they've provided us awesome education that I've now been able to share with other people who maybe their kids are struggling with things. And I'm like, hey, you should check out Dr. Piper, or you should, have you thought about how this may be affecting things? And so it's been really awesome. How I discovered Regenerating Health was, I first went out looking for a holistic Tics and Tourette's Facebook page. The other Facebook pages were a little terrifying. I'm not going to lie. It was very disheartening hearing very hard stories compared to what even my son was going through, because it just made me close up more and made me like, oh my gosh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And then it just feeds some of that anxiety. And so I looked for more of a natural Facebook page, and I found one, and I stayed on there for a few, and people would talk about Dr. Piper, and so I went and looked at her page, and I screenshotted it thinking, okay, if we need it, well, maybe I'll keep this. And as we had put him in swim lessons in the summer, it was causing him to have full body tics. Finding out later, obviously, chlorine's very toxic, which how would chlorine not be toxic? But most kids are fine, and so you don't think about it. And then once this started happening, and I was in that place of just what felt like to me just deep despair, because I just didn't know what to do. I just went on, I found her page, I got onto her Facebook page and her group, and started listening to just some of the things she was posting. And the one that really made a difference for me was, there was a video where she was talking about a 10-year-old girl who had Cuprolalia, and how the genetic piece fit in, and she went over the girl's genetics, and I was just blown away, because as Dr. Piper says, we're not when you think holistic, we're not going to rub crystals over you, where sometimes that can be your thought, and hers was completely based in science and just totally made sense. And I just felt I prayed about it, and I just felt this peace about it. And I just told my husband, I was like, you need to listen to this. We need to do this. I just feel we signed up. And after talking with Danielle on that phone call, we were sold. We were just this is it. We're going to make it happen. I don't care what it costs at this point. We have to do something. And we were 100% in it, because people will ask me does he go see her? And I'm like, no, it's awesome, because everything is shipped to your home, the testing kits, you get to talk, you do Zoom calls, but all the results are, she can reach so many more people with how she's doing that. And it brings a lot of hope for people that aren't even just in the US. Like, she's able to reach people in so many other countries, and just the services they provide are really what is needed. So since working the program, we went from last summer having full body tics to where he couldn't even balance himself sometimes on a scooter, facial tics, all vocal tics, to now he goes to school and his friends don't even know he has Tourette's. Like, he's able to play soccer. I mean, he could have played soccer before, but it would have been so hard with the things, and like, kids aren't staring at him. Kids aren't having to ask questions, and he's able to live basically a normal life. Yes, he has to eat differently, but he doesn't, since he's so young too, he doesn't really notice. I mean, he notices a difference, but we're able to educate him, and he just says, my friends just know I don't eat gluten and dairy. Like, and so it's just become kind of a, he's able to just tell people, like, I have food allergies, even though it's not maybe technically an allergy because it causes a symptom for him. We say, you just tell them you have food allergies, and it's nothing, because lots of kids have food allergy. The cool part was they've never seen him tic. So
Right.
even though,
Yeah.
but it was really cool to be able to provide that education, and just through that, though, he learns also, you can do everything anybody else can do.
Mr. Piper, thank you for helping me.